This is Dr. Stephen Smith, and this presentation is on autism. What you're seeing here is the mind map on autism treatment, and we're going to go through this. So let's zoom in a little bit. So the first step is to get educated. If you've got a newly diagnosed child, you need lots of information and lots of support. You can usually find a local support group. With these two organizations, TACA will give you lots of information, and if you click on anything that has an arrow, that's a link. And this is Autism Research Institute, and there is a wealth of information on both of these. It will take weeks to go through all the information there. So what do you do to help your child? Well, let's go down to the bottom here and get a little overview of what's going on here. I drew this little diagram that shows you what makes up an autistic child. Autism is really a bunch of other problems that cause inflammation. So these are all the issues that are wrong and inflamed, and it may not all be there in your child. These are the contributors to autism. So once we understand that, then we can get more strategic in our program. Now these links here, there's a short one that goes over this, I discussed this, and there's a longer one. And these are also websites, and there's links to those too. Protocols for Health is our main one with most of our blogs. Most of the articles on here have been transferred there. So let's start up here with the diet. There used to be, well, there still is a study, but you have to pay for it now. It was on the Autism Research site, and it discussed the effectiveness of various treatments that parents had observed over time. And the number one thing was diet. So you clean up the diet. There's a couple that work really well. The gluten-free, casein-free, that's basically wheat and dairy. And then the specific carbohydrate diet. This diet works by making sure, and there's a link to it, that the foods you eat do not pass through the gut without being digested and provide food for candida and bacterial overgrowth. The next thing you want to do, because these children do not detoxify very well, is clean up your house. A lot of EMF in our houses now, electromagnetic force from computers and what have you. And there are devices you can get that you can plug into your wall that will knock those down. There's a little meter, you can read that. And then you can get personal protection. There's some devices here we have, but there's also some devices you can get for your child's bed. It's very important to have your child protected when they sleep, because that's when they recover. And if they're being exposed to all kinds of EMF when they're sleeping, they may not recover very well. So these are some of the baseline labs I would use. Nitrotyrosine is a marker for, and this is a link to the lab, of oxidative stress. Food allergies are often misleading because there's 4 different pathways. IgG4 is the most common one, and this links to the Great Plains lab test. Urine organic acid test is one of the most useful tests, and that's done by Great Plains. There's other labs that do it, but they do a very good job. They also have some other tests such as porphyrins, but this test will show you the presence of bacterial overgrowth by basically looking for the things they give off in the urine. Same thing with yeast, and you can also determine if your child has vitamin deficiencies with this test, because if they do, then certain compounds are not found or are found in abundance in the urine. So this is one of the most useful tests for sorting out what's going on with your child's metabolism. Environmental toxin screen, there's a new one they have that's very comprehensive. It's going to show you all of the soluble types of toxins, pesticides, household cleaners, etc. Heavy metals is often a problem, and you can do a hair elements. Now don't rely on that for mercury because it doesn't work very well, but it'll also give you some nutritional information. I think the best one is doctor's data. That's the type that the EPA type recommends. Others are not washed, and they don't use instruments that are sensitive enough to pick up these compounds at the level they're present in the hair in a reliable manner. Genova is another good one. GI Health Panel, we have this one linked to Genova, but there's several good ones. Doctor Status, another one. Urine elements is one of the better tests because it will show you the heavy metals, and the way you see these metals is you give the child something that flushes the metals out, because a lot of times you're not going to see them because they don't detoxify these metals, and that's why they're sick in the first place. So this is a controversial test, but I find it's one of the most useful for finding hidden lead, hidden mercury. All right, so next step is let's look at their diet and their nutritional deficiencies. Typically these children have poor GI function, so they have a lot of malabsorption. We'll center this a little better. Okay, so minerals, they're always depleted. These are some that we find are most commonly depleted. This product we have at our store has all of these minerals in appropriate amounts, and it's very inexpensive. And so when you see these links here, this is going to take you to the product page. Fish oils. Fish oil, the brain is made of these fatty acids. EPA for function, DHEA for structure. The problem is fish oil is not very good tasting. So we have one. This is lemon flavored. It's very good. We've only found one person that didn't like it. Nordic Naturals makes a gummy. We don't have them on our website, but that's also very good. Cod liver oil is unique, and Nordic Natural makes a nice one of those. It provides a natural form of vitamin A and is very useful. And if you can get that study on parent ratings, you'll find that cod liver oil is rated very high. Methylation. Well, what's methylation? Well, it's a cycle in our body that deals with detoxification and brain function. And these children have problems. A lot of adults have problems, and they have other things going on like fibromyalgia, cancer, MS, all kinds of things. But virtually all autistic children have methylation problems. MTHFR is also what it's called, is one of those areas. One of the key enzymes is messed up. We have a product, Methyl Matrix, that supports the methylation cycle at multiple spots. So it's sort of a general multiple vitamin, if you will, for the methylation cycle. The most common deficiencies are active folate and methyl B12, which is active B12. And you can get that in a chewable by itself, and we would give it subcutaneous shots. Tremendous results. Again, parent ratings showed very good results. B6, I don't have a link to that, but some of our multiples have that in it. Some of these children need tremendous doses of B6, up to 250 milligrams. The normal dose is like 2, but that's going to vary from child to child. The urine organic acid test we mentioned up here can give you that information if your child is showing markers for severe need for B6. That's one of the reasons why we do that test. Amino acids are often deficient. This is just a link to a general amino acid complex. Detoxification. Now this is a biggie, because glutathione, we should have that circled and bolded, but we don't, is the most important thing with regards to autism in my mind. These children don't have enough of it. If it was corrected, most of the autism would go away. The methylation pathway is part of the reason why, because that pathway is screwed up. So we can give them extra glutathione. We can give that to them via precursors, or we can give them directly. Now, it's not absorbed very well orally, so they have to have specialized compounds. This is one I've used for years. I know it works. It was actually designed for cancer patients, and it has little micro capsules that go through the digestive system. It comes in 100 milligrams and 400. I would start with 100 because if you use a 400, you may get more detoxification than you want. This ACG is a very nice product, very well absorbed. These are just 2 sizes. You spray it right on the tongue. And anything you spray in the mouth is usually much easier to use. So these products work well. You want to start slow with them, because when they work, the child will detoxify, and you don't want them to detoxify too fast. Next, we come to the gut. It's very rare you will see an autistic child with a normal gut. They have yeast, they have parasites, they have toxic bacteria, and what's called a biofilm. This is when the bacteria overgrow in the gut and form a mucus film, and it's reinforced with minerals, and is very stable and can be a big problem. Now you may be able to just knock down the bacteria and with some of the things we're going to show you, but in many cases you have to do a more formal biofilm treatment. And if you see that arrow, that means a link that's going to take you to another map on MindMeister specifically dealing with biofilms. Now if you see this diagram here, you see in a biofilm there's about 100,000 bacteria or more, 10 times more than should be there, and they can block absorption, and they also can give off all kinds of toxins. So we want to get rid of those biofilms. These children do not digest their food very well, and if the food's not digested, then these bacteria and yeast will digest it, and those give off toxins that affect the child's brain. So we want them to digest all of their food, and so a good way is digestive enzymes. These are capsules, but you can just break the capsules over their food, but have them eat it fast, because you'll see the food turn to mush if you leave them on there for any length of time. When you're detoxifying a child, you do not want them constipated, so you do whatever you can, prunes, whatever. This is a little product that helps you with constipation. Also, I like Miralax if I have to. Do whatever you have to, but if you're trying to detoxify constipated child, you're headed for trouble. So you got to get those bowels moving. These children often have viruses. These viruses are in the small bowel, the terminal end typically. Not all children have them, but when they do, this can be a problem. A couple of products, Lauricidin, might be a little harder to give. Olive leaf extract. Olive leaf extract is great because it knocks down bacteria, also goes after certain viruses. And we have two products listed. I like the Virex a little better than this one, but they're both good products. And also olive leaf will help keep the bacteria down, and we use that and grapeseed extract to keep the bacteria in check once we've got the biofilm clean. We talked about detoxification. We've already talked about this. You got to get their glutathione levels up. The spray works great. Mercury Detox is a supplement we use, and it's a combination of herbals and nutrients. It works very well. We've used it for over 20 years, and it's one of my favorite products. It's also very affordable. And then you may need some amino acids also when you're detoxing. We're not talking about, we don't have links to the homeopathics, but they can be very helpful from helping the body release toxins out of the cells. Heavy metals. I had one child, the only thing I really did massively was remove heavy metals, and I've had children I had one guy come and see me, didn't see him for 5 years later. I just gave him one thing, and that was something too, it was similar to this, that pulled out heavy metals, and another that supported the methylation cycle. Came back 5 years later, autism was completely done. He just kept on using the product and eventually cleaned out enough that his autism went completely away. So this nanozeolite, that means they're breaking down into small particles, so they'll get into little nooks and crannies of the bodies. So there's just 2 ounces and 4 ounces, and this is EDTA and lipoic acid. EDTA is really good for lead, and lipoic acid is a very strong antioxidant and especially works well in the liver, and this combination is dynamite, and this just goes on the tug. But it's going to work on lead mostly, and you'll probably find that mercury, in my experience, is a problem, but lead is the predominant problem. That completes our overview, and you can go to this video and also our autism site, which we have links to down here, or Protocols for Health, and watch more videos. But if you follow up through these sites here, you're going to get tons of information, all kinds of resources. But I hope this overview gives you sort of an idea of what you've got to do to get children better. And I've seen children have full recoveries, I mean severe autism to full recovery. One child in particular went from fairly severe autism to going up at 4 years old and chatting up 2 legislators, walked right up and chatted them right up. This shows you what you can be done when you get very aggressive with the treatment. Thank you very much.